We turn the leads into revenue.
Okay. This is where it was the biggest challenge from us as a marketing agency.
Correct. Yes.
Because there are some people out there that can't sell.
That's true. It's a good amount of people.
There's a few contractors, won't name any names, that never answer their phone.
That's true also.
And then they wonder why they're not getting business. Welcome to the Roofing Success Podcast. I'm Jim Aline, and I'm here to bring you insights from top leaders in the roofing industry to help you grow and scale your roofing business. Today's episode has been a long time coming. Years and years and years, Brian.
Decades.
Maybe not decades.
I'm not that old.
You are not that old, that's for sure. I am here with the co-founder of Roofer Marketers, which is now JobNimbus Marketing, the great Brian Niebler.
Thank you for having me. On short notice.
On short notice. But here's the thing about Brian that you guys might not know. I talked about Roofer Marketers and JobNimbus Marketing. Brian was the guy behind the scenes, really designed the frameworks that we executed on for our roofing clients. So I wanted to have him on because he's been really working on ever evolving our strategy from the best known roofer into the best framework, the best business system. I don't know exactly what you call it yet, but what are you calling it now that it's a little bit more comprehensive?
It's simple. It's best known framework.
The best known framework. That's awesome. So if any of you haven't read the Best Known Roofer book, go to Amazon, grab it. We published that in 2021.
While ago, in digital marketing years.
In a decade, a century in digital marketing years, right?
Yep.
So a lot of things have changed since then. For everyone, how did you get into the roofing industry?
Into the roofing industry? Well, I ran a marketing agency before I met you. And my very first, I would say one of our first clients was a roofing company.
Yep.
Did I know anything about roofing? Absolutely not. But I also had a number of other clients in, any other industry, and, roofing is the one that we got the best results for, or I got the best results, I should say. It was just a one-man band back then.
Yeah.
And it just turned into a snowball effect, I guess. Everything worked out well. And, met you, and then we decided roofing is the game. Like, let's go for it.
I've had a lot of fun in the roofing industry. I think you have too.
I think we all have had a lot of fun in the roofing industry,
and,
yes.
We're both part owners of a roofing company now.
Yep.
Are you a part owner of a couple roofing companies now?
Couple roofing
companies now. So, essentially a CMO role in most roofing companies, a chief marketing officer. So, getting everything dialed in as you did in the agency days for a roofing company from the marketing perspective, and then into through the lead follow-up, right?
Correct.
All the way through that appointment set is really where you've spent a lot of time building out the best framework. So let's talk about that a little bit. Talk through the how you came to the best framework.
Sure. So I think one of the main problems with marketing, just in general today for any types of service businesses, is I think we forget about the leads we actually have. In reality, a lot of marketing agencies, marketers in general, we run Google ads and we do SEO and we try to get all these leads in, and they come in, but what happens if we don't convert those immediately into jobs? They kind of get forgotten most of the time. I would say 90% of those leads just get thrown off to the wayside.
Yeah.
And I think we see this as a big problem in marketing, right? It's because it's always about leads. But we forget about, who are the people? Who are these leads? What are they thinking? And so the best framework is really here. I put it together because I think if we forget about that 90%, once they don't close immediately, it's taking that 90% and staying in front of them for forever until they actually do come in and we can close them into actual jobs.
Yeah. And that concept is something that we've kind of talked about for years to the roofing industry, and being omnipresent,
Yep.
being everywhere, or omnipresent, being everywhere. Let's walk through like who is a good company that could implement this type of framework in their business.
Right. So what we're really talking about here is warm leads, warm audience already.
Okay.
So, these are people that, one, have probably seen something that you've done before, whether it be a video you put out on social media, or maybe it was a Google ad, someone came to your website and left or something like that. Maybe it is an email opt-in, someone that's on your list, or a prospect you've had in your CRM forever. That's who we're targeting here, right? And so in order to have an audience like that already, you're probably already an established roofing company. You've
Yep.
probably done, upwards of 2 million, I would say.
Got it.
You have some sort of audience. You've done some sort of marketing before, and that's really what this system is positioned towards.
So it's more of a accelerator.
Accelerator, correct.
Right.
And that's not to say with Omnipresence, you still want to do that on the front end, right?
Yeah.
As a smaller company. But this system, we're focusing on everything we already have.
So explain B.E.S.T.
B.E.S.T. So we try to keep it simple here, right? Best known framework. So B.E.S.T, the acronym. So B, it's build your audience, build your perfect audience. E, it's establish the messaging. That's perfect messaging, I should say. S is scale your ads. And T is turn those leads into revenue.
All right. So what I heard from you in the first one, build your audience. Let's go into that. What are the core things that a roofing company needs to do to build their audience? Because what you had said was this isn't for the new company that doesn't have any business yet, that hasn't done any marketing. So how does someone build their audience, or how do you refine that, or what are you doing there?
So, I would just think of, one, we could just list out what that audience is. Because there's so many different places that people have probably seen your company, both offline and online. But now that we're focusing on the online, so let's talk anybody that's ever visited your website,
Got
right?
it.
Anyone that's ever viewed a video that you've put on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or wherever, any of those. Anybody that's viewed a YouTube video, right? And then we're talking also maybe people that have been in your CRM forever. They've been sitting in there. Maybe it was a deal that just didn't get closed, prospects that have been in there, old leads, form fills, any of that stuff. So I would just make a checklist and think about all of those different places that people have probably seen your company at one point or another. That can be turned into an audience.
Okay. I think you said something that was an aha moment for, I think, a lot of contractors, which is their CRM. Anyone that's ever been entered into a CRM can be used in an audience.
Correct.
Now, what does that mean?
Well, it means they have officially entered your hemisphere, right?
Yeah.
So you can take their information, and on Facebook you have the option to, you can export it from your CRM. Doesn't matter what CRM you have, you can do it, and you can upload it into Facebook as its own audience. Depending on what stage or pipeline they were in, you can also separate those audiences out. Did we get in contact with them? Was an appointment actually booked? Was an estimate put out and just never closed? All three of those are three different audiences, in my opinion.
So you can segment the audiences.
You can segment them, correct.
Right. So so you have your audiences from your CRM. How do you collect visitors? It might get a little technical for people, but how do you collect visitors that have watched a Facebook video or something like that?
Well, the nice thing is it's already been collected for you. It's already right there. If you have a Facebook page and you've put out a video and people have watched it, Facebook already knows this. It's right there. So what you need to do is you can go into the back end of the business manager and you can actually create these audiences that have already been created, essentially.
Okay. So it sounds like it's important. So this is on their business page, not their personal profiles.
Correct.
Okay. So for people that do personal branding, this might change a little bit, right? Like, you're not going to be able to do this from a personal branding perspective, But if you have a business page.
Before we carry on with the episode, let's give a shout out to one of our sponsors. Roofers, let's get real. You're great at building roofs, but are you great at building a steady stream of leads? That's where JobNimbus Marketing comes in. They know the roofing industry inside and out, and they'll help you dominate Google, Facebook, reputation management, and everything in between. If you want more quality leads, more booked jobs, and more growth, visit the link in the description or the sponsors page on the Roofing Success Podcast website.
You're not going to be able to do this from a personal branding perspective, but if you have a business page,
well, if you
all
do
of that data
if
is
you
there.
do have a personal page, it's the professional version. You can also use those audiences
Oh,
as
really?
well. Yes.
Okay. All
yes.
right. So, but you need the audience. Why
Correct.
is the audience important?
Well, the audience is important because, I mean, those are the guys that, again, they know who your company, they've at least seen one mention of your company before. And when you think about the homeowner, right, that's gonna, for a roofing company, I mean, they're all in different stages, right? There's gonna be people that, are looking for, maybe if you've ever talked about the marketing funnel, right? A lot of you probably know what this is, right? You got top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and bottom of the funnel. Like, just as an example, I know you give this example all the time.
We talk about it all the time. That's right.
Like, what's the color? What color is what's the best color of roof, right?
Yeah.
They're not bottom of the funnel because they're probably not ready to buy today.
Yeah.
They might be mid to the top funnel. So we can segment those because everyone's in different parts of the buying journey, right? And each one of those segments we can turn into a different angle. Now that's one piece of it. The other piece is like, what are they actually looking for, right? So is there, if they're looking for stuff around like what's the cost of a roof, that's its own angle in itself because they're very interested in that sort of stuff. And so we can go into that a little bit more, but there's different ways to segment the audience, and that becomes important because that's how we're going to get those ads out to stay in front of them and keep them interested.
Got it. So once you've built these audiences, you can use them in Facebook, you can use them in Google. They're essentially that foundation that is what I'm hearing.
Correct.
What we're talking about
Yes.
here is they're the foundation,
They
right?
are that
We're
foundation.
starting with the person.
Yes.
So we're starting with the person. Who is the person that we're targeting? Well, they visited. This is essentially a warm list.
Correct.
Right? It's
Yeah.
a warm list versus a cold list. It's
Yep.
not just. It's not just get a bunch of names and phone numbers or like target a specific geographic location. This is let's take these people.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's look-alike audiences and different things. So you could say, hey, these are all the people we closed. Now we can say that find people like these people because
Yes.
they've closed before.
Yes.
From developing good audiences, what have you seen from the results of that on the other side of that? Because that's really what people care about, right? Like, great, I have all these audiences, I uploaded them and my Facebook ads still sucked. And we'll move on to talk about how to make all of your ads better also. But like, what have you seen if it's the right audience versus just a cold audience in a geographic area?
Well, I mean, like I said, everyone's in their own buying journey. You talk about this all the time. Where are we in the customer journey? Well, if you hit them with the right, if everyone's got their own pain points,
Yep.
right? What is your pain point for buying a roof? Is it, I need financing? Is it, I got storm damage? Is my insurance going to cover it? There's all sorts of different angles. If you can hit them with the content that's going to really tear into their heart, right? That's the ones that are likely, they're going to continue to follow you and are likely going to be the converters later on.
Got it.
So what we've seen is when we do this and we figure out where they're at in that buying journey, and then we create the content and the video content and the ads that will target that specific pain point, typically it'll convert 3-4 times as good, essentially. And that's what we're looking for. And again, we're talking about an audience that got left at the wayside too.
Yeah.
Like these people, a lot of times the roofing companies forget about them. So we're just talking about even converting people that otherwise wouldn't have been touched again.
So now you kind of led into your next point. What is E in B.E.S.T?
E is establishing the perfect messaging.
Got it. So that's what you were talking about is like, where are they in the buying journey? And what can we say to them at that point of the buying journey?
Correct.
That makes them react, raise their hand, interact with us, make a phone call, fill out a form. How are we developing good messaging?
Well, again, I mean, it's going to depend on what your industry is. So in roofing, I mean, we've always talked about it, like, what are the number one questions that your sales reps get at the door? I mean, there's typically the same ones over and over and over again. We just talked about them too. It's like, how can I get financing? What's going to be covered with insurance? What are things I should be looking out for? What are some red flags? All that sort of stuff. Each one of those is its own segment again.
Yeah.
So that's who we're targeting with the ads.
So the messaging, though, is, I talk about it a lot I've talked about it in a lot of talks and podcasts, right? It's market who you're marketing to, right? Your message and how you're getting it in front of them. And that's kind of what you're following here, but you're getting very specific.
Yeah, because one message never works for everyone.
That's right.
Everyone's in a different part of the buying journey, and you gotta, again, get in touch with them at that specific point.
But if you're a marketing manager at a roofing company, or if you're an owner, what are some practical things that they can do to determine the messaging? Like, what's a good connecting point for them? Something simple that they don't have to, like, I'm thinking about all these different people, where they're at in the buying journey. What would be some simple things that they could do?
I mean, the simple ones would be what we just talked about. I would just ask your sales reps, come on in, let's do a meeting quick, write down the top 5 things you hear every single day in terms of selling out there.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, I think most of you already know what the core pain points are, right? I mean, it's pretty similar. It's not just roofing. It's every home service kind of company. It's it's always about cost. It's always about trust, and then it's always about the work that's being done. So there's a number of different things in each one of those categories, in my opinion. So, how
do you differentiate messaging, or should it just be the same messaging that everyone else is using?
I think that's going to depend on most of the messaging, I think, is pretty much the same in terms of those categories. Now, in terms of how you handle specific situations and your core values and stuff like that, I think that's where it would get unique. Okay. But you guys, hopefully you already have that, together for your company. So that's something that, again, that goes in that trust column. Yeah.
I talk about things like a great roofing company that we worked with for many years. They ended up selling to PE. With MHI, they essentially created the frame of messaging in their market where, hey, this is what you look for in a good contractor.
Yeah.
And it was like the top 4 or 5 things were things that you could say about any good contractor.
Yeah.
But like the 5th and 6th were things that you could only say about them.
That's a good one, yeah.
Right, like things like that. But tying that into the messaging, it's just knowing where they are at in that journey. So now they're in your database. They're segmented out as like a sit no sale. They haven't converted. They've been in your database for 30 days, 45 days, 60 days. How do you get their attention again?
Well, I mean, that comes along with the audience building, right? So we split them up into the audience. And then we figure out, so what we like to do is we call them V loops, essentially video loops, on each one of those pain points. Might choose 3 to 4 to 5 of the top ones that are really going to hit. And we've already talked about those just now, right? So now it's about, again, uploading those audiences into the specific ad frameworks, segmenting them back into your CRM or wherever you're doing your outreach for leads and stuff like that. And then creating the messaging around that. So, for example, if we're doing something about cost, like what's the cost of a roof, stuff like that, and maybe they hit a page like that before, they had questions around it or whatever, I'm going to create what we like to do is educate, action, call to action.
Okay.
So it's it's going back to what are they asking, answer those questions. What are the questions along that topic? What's the cost of a roof typically in this area? And then, why is it, what's the difference in cost between this versus this? And then in the final one, it's send them somewhere, right? So if it's a cost one, maybe there's a pricing calculator or something like that. And that's your final, hey, come on over here and take a look and get that for yourself and see what it is.
Yeah, I know you've been working on pricing calculators for the roofing companies you're involved in right now with ours and the other one you're involved in. What's the impact on that? Like, how is that converting? Because I was just at a Marcus Sheridan event. He talks about price all the time, and all of you are so afraid to talk about price, right? Roofle has made a great name for themselves in pricing. Roofr has, I think, the estimator, online estimator that people can fill out and stuff like that. But as you're running ads and giving open and honest estimates on pricing, I came from the mortgage industry, as a lot of you guys heard, many times here. There's something called a good faith estimate. It's an estimate. Think about the wording there. An estimate in good faith, right? So, like, you're not trying to trick anyone. You're not trying to just, But so this new kind of framework that you've been running to these calculators, what is the outcomes been there? How has that impacted, opt-ins or lead flows?
I know you're enjoying the episode, but let's give a shout out to another one of our sponsors. If you and your team aren't trained on AI yet, you're already falling behind. Competitors using AI are generating more leads, closing jobs faster, and running leaner. The AI roofing revolution gives your team the training to implement AI so you stay ahead, not scramble to catch up. Don't wait until you're losing. Get trained now at the link in the description or the sponsors page of the Roofing Success Podcast website.
Kind of framework that you've been running to these calculators, what has the outcomes been there? How has that impacted, opt-ins or lead flows?
So, I'll give you a little nugget here that we've discovered, and we were always kind of skeptical of this, and this is nothing against the pricing calculators or anything like that, but from a perspective of myself and a lot of other people, I think you'd agree, is that, like, people are not dumb anymore when it comes to online marketing.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. They've seen it all at this point. And I think what one of the problems is people, hey, get a quote real quick, right? Get an instant price. But then they get to it and it's like, oh, put in your contact information, put your address, put this. And, a lot of us just want to kind of get an idea on the price, and we don't want to give you our contact information, And so something I think we've kind of discovered is, why not just give them a pricing calculator that they can play around with on their own, and then if they've figured out, like, oh, okay, it's it's between 10 to 15 grand, great. I actually want to get an actual exact price quote. Well, here's the call to action. Here, you can get that exact price quote. Just put in your exact information. So, I think what we've discovered is, in doing something like that, it makes people feel a little more like you're trustworthy. You're not just trying to grab their information. And the nice thing about that, and we're talking about audiences, if someone hits a page like that and they still don't enter their information, they're not a dead lead, you guys. Like,
that's right.
They've hit that page, and we know they've hit that page.
There's so many ways to stay in front of them.
And guess what? We can stay in front of them forever now with all that information about the cost.
And really, online and offline.
Online and offline, exactly. Yeah.
Right? Like, there's mailings that you can do.
Mailers you can send, like,
from an offline perspective. A lot of times you can have their address. You can knock their door even.
Yep.
Maybe a little creepy.
Yeah.
Maybe a little creepy, but you can do it.
Yeah, you sure can.
So, okay, now we have, like, the perfect messaging, and some of that perfect messaging that's a little bit more unique. Thinking about the buyer too is what I'm hearing from you. Like, we got to think about the buyer and where they're at in the journey, what they want to do. They don't want to. No one wants a salesperson at their house.
Yep.
Like, it's not something that we're like, hey, can I have another sales pitch?
I think we really tend to forget about the buyer.
Yeah.
As business owners, and that's a problem because
it's a big problem.
Because they're our customer. They're the ones buying from us. So
right.
You really got to think about it from their perspective, and think about it from your own perspective. If you're going to be going out to a company and they're invasive and doing all this other stuff. You got to think about that sort of stuff.
We've built our audience. We've established our messaging. S is?
We're going to scale our ads.
Scale our ads. Okay. Talk through that as a kind of a high-level concept.
Well, so, it goes back to what we're talking about with Omnipresence.
Yep.
everyone thinks about ads and we think about, running Google ads and all this other stuff. Well, there's all these platforms now that people consume information on, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, all that sort of stuff. And when we talk about Omnipresence, we talk about being in all those places. Well, now we know, hopefully we've established from this audience building that we know what part of the buyer's journey they're in. So now we can kind of build these video content, build all the video content, any of the ads that we need to, and now we stay in front of them consistently on all of these different platforms. And I want to be clear about being consistent because, if someone goes to Facebook and they're, it's about, and the ads are about the cost sort of stuff,
Yep.
It should stay that way on Instagram too, unless they've converted, and on YouTube. And everything needs to be congruent. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to establish an omnipresence consistently around that same sort of subject to that audience, no matter where they go.
That's where, we've talked about this forever, but it's like, that's where, it's like, why are they, every time I open my phone, every time I go, now you could even do streaming now, and like on TV and YouTube TV. I mean, it's like it's
million
all
options. Right?
A lot of people watch YouTube on their TV, so your YouTube ads are on the TV. We run ads for this podcast on YouTube, and I was like, wow, we have a lot of viewers on, like watching on a television. It was crazy to me. And so, what does that trigger in people from a psychological perspective?
It's a top of mind thing again, right? With roofing specifically, we're talking a high ticket item that people, may not be ready for at this point in the thing. And there's been a lot of research done around these topics, and you might have heard like the 7 touch point type thing. Well, in 2025, we're talking more like 30 to 40 to 50 touch points before someone actually makes a decision. People have
Tell
ADD.
me more about touch points. Talk about touch, or tell the audience more about touch points.
So
like,
I mean,
what do you mean by that? They're like, what do you mean touch points? I don't.
Touch points, like we're talking like an impression. Like we're talking, maybe you opened up Facebook and you're scrolling, and then you see this roofing company, right?
Yeah.
And then you kind of forget about it. But then you go over to YouTube, you're watching a video, and they pop up there. And then you get that postcard in the mail from them, and it's just them seeing you consistently, all these parts, and it makes any company seem bigger than they actually are.
That's the
biggest one.
The biggest thing. We've talked about this with a lot of companies on this podcast. I remember Travis with Planet Roof talking about, he did a rebrand from their first roofing company into Planet Roof, and I think he said he only had like 2 or 3 wrap trucks, maybe 1. I can't remember what he said. I'll have to go back to the episode and think about it. But like, it was very few wrap trucks, but it was good brand, seen all over.
It does start with a good brand, yes.
It's just a nonstop. Like they just started seeing it everywhere, and it's like, wow, that's crazy.
And I'm sure most of the people that come in, they're like, oh, I've seen you everywhere, right?
Everywhere. When your customers say those words to you, you know you got it. Right?
It's the truth.
Like, listen for that. Listen for, I see you everywhere. If you're not hearing that, you're not doing it right.
You got work to do. Yeah.
You got work to do.
But if you're hearing that, it's a beautiful thing to hear.
It is a beautiful thing to hear.
You know you're onto something there.
Conversion rates increase.
Yeah.
When they see you everywhere.
And the nice part about the scaling the ads in the omnipresent way is that it's really not that expensive. Like, if we're talking about,
speak to that. Yeah.
How expensive? I mean, a lot of you run Google ads, and you know how crazy expensive it can get. 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, $150 per click we're talking about. I mean, how much is a lead then? We're, beyond that. The nice part about having these audiences is, one, that Google ad that didn't convert, remember, they clicked on something, it just cost you $50, and they didn't put in their information or give you a call. Well, you still have them in the system, and you can remarket to them on all these platforms for pennies on the dollar, right?
Okay, so like,
pennies on the dollar.
What is a good marketing budget for that type of, for the remarketing side of things?
I would say, you could probably get away. Now, and again, this depends on how many different audiences you're going after and how big they are. But you could
give
get
it a
away.
range. Let's do a range.
You could do $10 a day.
Okay. On the low end.
On the low end.
On
right?
the low end.
To maybe $50 a day. But you're, staying in front of these people on all these different platforms, right?
Even at $50 a day, what's that?
That's
a month.
$1,500 a month, which is nothing when we think about it.
That's right.
In terms of, well, again, like comparing it to Google Ads to cold traffic and stuff like that. So
I know I was speaking with a contractor down in Orlando recently on one of the RSRA calls, and I think his lead cost from pay-per-click was like $800 or $900 per lead, right?
Yeah.
Like, so when you think about it that way, it's like, man, it's not that you don't want to, it's not that you want to stop pay-per-click, but it's in addition to, right? Like, so a lot of this stuff is in addition to.
I know you're enjoying the episode, but let's give a shout out to another one of our sponsors. I talk to contractors every day that feel stuck. Not because they're not working hard, but because they're missing the structure to growth without chaos. Or their culture's falling apart because their team's unclear, unaligned, or just burned out. And when change hits, they're reacting instead of leading because time and priorities aren't under their control. Day 41 Thrive helps to fix that with proven strategies for growth, culture, and leadership that actually work. Ready to thrive beyond the storm? Visit the link in the description or visit the Roofing Success Podcast website on the sponsors page to start your journey today.
It's not that you want to stop pay-per-click, but it's in addition to, right? Like, so a lot of this stuff is in addition to.
And to complement to that is, a lot of you may not know this, but from a marketing perspective, like a really good conversion rate on Google Ads is like, that would be a really good one is like 20%. So that leaves 80% of the people that came into that funnel. That clicked.
So what you're talking about, let's clarify that for people. Let's call a landing page conversion rate.
Right, a landing page conversion
rate. So they've clicked, they hit your landing page only like on an outrageously successful landing page. I would say the most successful ones I've ever seen that we've done, and I still have ever seen, maybe like 25%, maybe up to close to 30. But over a span of time.
Over a long period of time.
You might get like a good month where you're at like 40% or something like that. Yeah. But over an extended period.
But on average, we're talking less than 10%.
Yeah.
And that leaves 90% of the people that clicked on that ad, came to your landing page, and didn't do anything.
So they typed something into Google.
Roofing company near me.
They clicked on an ad.
Clicked on it. That cost you $75 or whatever it cost.
But they didn't convert. They didn't fill out the form. They didn't make a phone
They got to the landing page and they said, nope, and then they just went back, right?
So on the good side, 80% do that. 80% don't call. 80% don't fill out a form.
Correct, yeah.
That's a good frame for people. And then, and so you don't want to lose them. Like, keep in front of them. Yeah. Turn the remarketing ads on.
The intent is there. They're there. They know they're interested. But maybe, who knows, there's a million reasons why they didn't do anything.
What about Google Ads? I think, let's just talk about that for a second, because I think that Google search ads, not the display remarketing stuff that we're talking about. Google search ads are a challenge for roofing contractors. Are there any ways, what are you seeing that is working in today's environment?
I've always stressed on this, and I think the biggest thing is it's just add congruency to what the landing page says.
We've talked about it's crazy how
it's amazing
how many people run Google Ads without congruencies. What do you mean by that? Give me an example.
So, I mean, like, let's just say, for example, say you're even running a campaign for a metal roofing. Like, say you're running a metal roof campaign, just something around like, hey, metal roofing company near me. People click on it and it goes to just the homepage of the website that just says something random about, #1 company in Chicago, and then it's just like a bunch of random stuff. Like, there needs to be congruency on what people are clicking on. If they're clicking on Minneapolis Roofing Company as the headline of the ad, well, that landing page better say Minneapolis Roofing Company right there. Or if there's some sort of offer that you're putting in that ad copy, like, whatever it is, $2,500 off, your roof. If they click on that and they go to the landing page and it's nowhere in existence, well,
Yeah.
okay, what was the intent behind that? They probably clicked because of the offer.
Great financing options, and there's nothing about financing.
Nothing about it. Yeah.
Right? Like there's it's congruency in that messaging. So you've developed your audience, you've built the perfect audience,
We've established the messaging.
We're
Built and scaled the ads.
scaled the ads. And T,
We turned the leads into revenue.
okay. This is where it was the biggest challenge from us as a marketing agency,
Correct. Yes.
because there are some people out there that can't sell.
That's true. It's a good amount of people.
There's a few contractors, won't name any names, that never answer their phone.
That's true also.
And then they wonder why they're not getting business. What does it look like? What does a perfect process look like to that from lead to appointment?
So, I mean, this has been talked about millions of times, but it's always speed to lead.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, let's think about this again. We're talking about from the buyer's perspective, from the homeowner's perspective. If I'm not getting a response right away, where am I going? I'm going right back to Google or wherever I came from to find the next person and give them a call. Because I mean, most of these guys, like, they're ready to go now. People have ADD. They're gonna go on to the next thing, right?
Yeah.
We talked about touch points. It's not just touch points prior to them entering their information. That is a big piece of the B.E.S.T framework, but it's also touch points after they enter their information. Right?
Got it.
And a lot of people, we were talking about, even after they input their information, it's try to get in touch with them once, and I didn't get in touch, so, on to the next, right?
On to the
and
next.
again, that's where they go dormant in the CRM, and they just sit there. So what we really want to do is, one, we got to be answering the phone if they're calling in. I don't care how it happens, it's got to happen immediately. If you don't have an after-hours service, you need to hire someone. If they're not great, then you need to figure out another option to that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of AI voice options now that even just will get the job done, honestly. And so that's the first one. If it's a form fill, someone types something in, or it's a Facebook message or whatever, there better be a response immediately, right? And it's got to be via that platform too. This is another thing we ran into, and we figured out that if they're submitting a Facebook lead directly, a lot of people they send a text right away. I mean, they were just on Facebook. So maybe you should get in contact with them via Facebook.
Let's dig deeper on that. Okay. You're running an ad on Facebook. It's a messenger ad. People reach out through Messenger or through a lead form even on there, and they get a text message right away.
It's a switch in people's brain, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I was just scrolling on social media and I just submitted something on Facebook, but now I have a text message over here, and you know how many notifications we get on our phones.
Nonstop.
Yeah. So like it's kind of a psychological thing. People being able to switch from even just apps, right?
Yeah.
Facebook over to SMS or whatever.
Yeah.
If you can keep them where they originally submitted it, that's going to be your best option.
Yeah.
Now, if they submit it through the website, right? Form fill is very common.
Yeah.
That's where you try all the options. What we used to do, and I still think we do it, is we place the call immediately.
Yeah.
It's an auto call, goes out to them, press 1 to connect. If it connects to them, and we automatically pick up. If there's no one available, we're sending an SMS text message, we're sending an email, and then we're doing that every few minutes in a sequence until we can get in touch with them, along with manual calling until they pick up.
It's extremely important, and that's the levers that people don't understand in their marketing, right? They think that marketing stops when the lead comes in,
right?
But there's a lot more to create efficiency in that ad spend, in that marketing budget.
And then we can go beyond that and say it's not just once you get in touch with them for the first time. If you get the appointment booked, well, now you got the time between getting that appointment booked and actually going and showing up, right? And there's a lot of things that can get lost in translation there too. So what are we doing there? Again, touch points, right? Text messages about what to expect, maybe a video sent over to them like, hey, this is what you can expect, and these are things to watch out for, and this is what we'll be talking about, so you can prep them ahead of time.
Yeah, I like how you've simplified the framework, right? Like, I thought we did a good job with the Best Known Roofer book and really putting that in a digestible format. But I think the evolution of this is even more simple for contractors to understand and to help them out. What do you we'll get links to all your stuff in the description, your new YouTube channel.
Yep.
All your new social media content that you're going to be producing around the B.E.S.T business framework.
My goal is to really create a movement to help, any local service business, honestly, but especially in the home service industry. This is all possible. It can all be done. I just think a lot of people forget about this piece because everyone's taught about the leads, and they forget about what the buyer is actually thinking. And I think, especially in today's day and age, with all the nonstop information coming at you, you really got to be on the same wavelength with your customer.
All right, well, everyone, check out Brian's new content. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. Thank you for tuning into the Roofing Success Podcast. For more valuable content, visit roofingsuccesspodcast.com. While there, check out our sponsors for exclusive offers, shop for merchandise, and sign up for our newsletter for industry updates and tips. Also, join the Roofing Success Facebook group to connect with other professionals and stay updated on the latest trends. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, like, share, and leave a comment. Your support helps us continue to bring you top industry insights. The website link is in the description. Thanks for listening.